On the agenda tonight, we're going to be having a listen to the isolated vocal of Aretha Franklin performing I Say a Little Prayer live back in 1970. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So this is the perfect performance to follow on from the last analysis video because Aretha was Whitney Houston's honorary aunt, and the amount of vocalists that surrounded Whitney and her mum were just crazy, but check out that video because I talk about that in the previous one. There's a link to the original performance in the description below with all of the orchestration and backing if you want to check that out independently, but we'll listen to this the whole way through and then we'll get into the analysis.
The moment I wake up, before I put on my makeup, I say a little prayer for you. Oh yes I do. While combing my hair now and wondering which dress I'm gonna wear now. I say a little prayer for you. Oh yes I do. I run for the bus stick. While riding, I'm thinking of a stick. I'm saying a little prayer for you. Oh, yes, I am. And at work, I just take me some time. And all through my coffee break time, I'm saying the same prayer for you. Oh, yes, I am. Nobody but me now. Together, we together to live without rolling me heartbreak. Oh, nobody but me now. Darling, believe me. For me, there is no one but you. Please love me too. This is my prayer. Answer my prayer, baby. Answer my prayer, baby. This is my prayer. My prayer. I'm going to you, lady. Answer my prayer. Darling, believe me. For me, there is no one but you. Oh, please love me too. And answer my prayer. Answer my prayer, baby. Oh, answer my prayer. Answer my prayer, baby. Answer my prayer. Oh, answer it, baby. Answer my prayer. Oh, this is my prayer.
And there we have it. That is live. Let me just point that out right at the end there. This is something that great vocalists can do. They hit you with a note that blows your mind because of the range that is being achieved, but then they take it even higher, and that's exactly what Aretha did right at the end there. But there obviously is so much to point out about this performance. With the isolation software, there are a lot of voices in this performance, in this song. So it means that distinguishing the voices can be quite difficult for it sometimes, but we do get just occasional glimpses on the pitch monitoring software as well of what Aretha's doing with her voice. So the first thing is that this mic is actually quite dry compared to the other isolated vocals that we've looked at, where you can hear the amount of reverb on the sound. This doesn't really have excessive reverb on it. You just get to appreciate the tone, the quality of the voice. And this is something about great voices, that they often don't need a lot of effect on them, because when you're talking about a vocalist like Aretha, she just has this quality to her voice that's like a smoky sound to it, that's always in there when she wants it, and she can sing really clean, but in this performance, because it is isolated, you get to hear that smoky quality in there. Right, we will have a little listen to this, because then I'll point out a thing or two after. Okay, so just going through that vocal, what Aretha did so well was, well, just sing, but blend her registers. This is going to be really similar to the video that I made on Whitney Houston, because there are so many similarities, and obviously it makes sense because they were so close. But what we've just heard in that vocal is a release into head voice, and Aretha just hits an A5. So if we're looking at our ranges on the left hand side, the A5 is here, and in the verse we have an A3. So let's just follow the arrow down to the A3, which is down here. And generally with great singers, they have an octave that they span with their voice in a song. And that's a great singer that could do that from the verse into the chorus. We often have that kind of range. But here, releasing into her head voice, we went all the way up to that A5. So I'll just play that again so that you can have a quick listen to that note where she releases. And there it was. I mean, it sounds so cool. But the difference is that that is releasing into head voice. So for most of the song, she's spending her time in this area. And this is where she's going to be belting in chest voice, which happens throughout the song quite a lot. But the great thing about Aretha's voice is she's not only belting here from the A3 up to the A4, which is impressive in itself, she can actually take her belt, and when I say belt, I mean chest voice, leaning into it, giving it some attitude. She can take this all the way up to the F sharp. This is going to be the highest note that she hits in chest voice. And when we just think back, she just hit a head voice on the A5 here. So she's only a semitone off her released head voice that she could hit with her chest voice. So this is insane. In order to take your voice up to this kind of level with all of that body of chest voice, I mean, first of all, it's just going to give you so much expression being able to do that. A lot of people, I would say, generally would have the octave above where they're starting their chest voice, they'd get to here and maybe add a semitone or another, a couple of semitones, maybe 3 semitones, maybe 4, but getting all the way up here, belting it out is seriously impressive. And this is the thing, that she had so much range in that vocal register to keep that expression all the time. She could just lean into it and just give you the full expression of her voice pretty much all the time, regardless of where the notes are, because she can take it so high. I love the fact that in this performance, you just get the sense that Aretha is so confident in her vocals because they are just there for this performance. She's just throwing together lines all over the place. And when I mentioned about that range that we've got, it's not as if Aretha is just spending a long time in the lower octaves and then occasionally takes a note or two from an octave above. she is ascending and descending pretty much 2 octaves the whole time, just picking out notes all over the place. But we're going to listen to how she sings these notes with a different dynamic and different registers, because first of all, see if you can hear the difference between a light head voice and then the same note that Aretha's going to hit in chest voice. So we'll have a listen to the head voice first with a little bit of air in the sound. So the same note, and you can hopefully hear the difference in expression and the fact that the chest voice is so much more up front. It's got that attitude in there. Listen again. And going back to the air. 2 totally different ways of singing the same note with different registers. One's a light head voice, and then she leans into it with her chest voice. The other thing to look out for is that vocal delivery with the slides that Aretha throws in there, because that just does get the whole performance to sound smoother, to glide and give it more of that storytelling quality, because she's not just hitting notes in a regimented fashion. It's got that flow to it. Let's have a listen. And it's good that on the vocal pitch monitor we can see this ascension and then descension all connected. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 semitones, and is that I run for the bus, dear, and allowing that dear, dear up and down. But it's really relaxed. And by the way, just pitch-wise, you can see with these slides, she's just nailing the notes as well at the end of dear. That is just spot on. So we'll have a little listen on. Again, really subtle, but look for these little slides that we have. Because of the other voices going on, the pitch monitoring software struggles to pick up just Aretha's voice, but you'll see these lines all the time.
I'm sailing for you. Oh, yes, I am. And where God just take me sometime. All through my coffee break. I'm sailing the chain for you. Oh, yes, I am.
I just want to take it back to that chest voice, C sharp 5 that we have here with vibrato. I haven't mentioned that yet, but as you can imagine with Aretha, she doesn't have any weak part in her voice. All the techniques are there, vibrato's there as well, but she can deliver these vocals and often delivers the vocal just cutting off the line like you would do if you were talking. Let's continue.
Send the chain for you. Oh, yes, I am.
And have a little look at that vocal run that we had going up. Again, that's releasing into head voice. So she's just got that ability and to hit these notes dead on the way up. Let me just take that back. Yeah, it was. And I think that should have just been an A5, but she's really close to the A sharp 5, which is a great indication of how relaxed her vocal cords are. She's not straining to get up to this crazy height of an A5. She's just releasing, letting her voice go up there. And if it's sharp, it doesn't matter. It's just this really cool throwaway line. When I say about her using her range and just picking out notes, let's just have a listen to this vocal phrase as a great example.
Oh, nobody but me now.
So just taking that back, actually, because the vocal's isolated, you do lose a little bit of Aretha's voice because she goes over and above the backing vocals, so it kind of gets lost in there. But let me see if I can actually play the track, just actually the original track, so we can hear all of it together. And that was the F sharp 5, I do believe, right at the top. Even with the whole track playing and the backing singers, you kind of lose the note, but it's definitely way up there. And that is chest voice. She's not, you can tell, because of the sound of it, she's not releasing, she's keeping that all in chest and belting it out. So just to bring it back to my point about Aretha having that ability to pick out any note that she wants within her range, which here is over 2 octaves. Have a listen to this. That first vocal phrase we can see on the pitch monitoring software, we have a B3. And we'll let it play on. So in the matter of seconds, within the matter of seconds, we have an F sharp 5 and we've just heard a B3. So if we look at our ranges, the B3 is down here on the piano and the F sharp 5 is all the way up here. The kind of range that any vocalist would dream of just being able to do in any voice, let alone in a song, and keeping it so connected all the way through. And by the way, that F sharp 5 is chest voice. She's leaning into it and she's not releasing into her head voice like she was doing earlier, and it's just so subconscious. And this is why it sounds great, because there's no thought process, then thinking about a technique, then an execution of a technique. The thought process, the technique, and the expression and the execution are all happening at the same time. And that's what you get with the real top tier singers. So this is one of those videos that could go on for years because of the vocalists that we're looking at. But what I want to mention just in closing is that Aretha, taking her chest voice so high, is often referred to nowadays as belting, and you'll hear a lot of vocal coaches referring to belting, and it is something that can have quite a dramatic effect on your voice when you're constantly leaning into it and belting, hitting high notes in your chest voice, especially when you take your chest voice up this high into where you would normally release in head voice. So the thing about hitting these notes in chest voice, especially if you're in demand like Aretha, of course, was she would be expected to be doing this night after night. And I'm sure that later on in her career, she lost some of that range at her top end of her chest voice. She could still hit it in head voice in that lighter configuration, but it is really hammering those vocal cords. And very few singers even have this ability in the first place to get those same notes in chest voice. But this is a great example of just Aretha in full flow, having all of her voice at her disposal. And it is really a standalone live performance. Let me just emphasize, this is live. And we've isolated the vocal and it still sounds amazing. Anyway, thank you guys for requesting this video for me to take a look at. I hope you have enjoyed it. As always, keep those suggestions coming in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!